This morning, I opened up my email inbox, and I found in there the GSL Qualifier Replay Pack. What I've got for you today is a qualification match, a best of 3 for the GSL Codes between two absolute channel favorites. Now, spotted right here in the top right-hand corner, playing with the red Terran SCVs. We have the most creative Terran at the professional level. He goes by the name of GuMiho. The man, all the way in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Protoss pieces. He's widely considered to be the highest ranked Protoss player from Korea and maybe even the world. We have, of course, none other than Hero. Now, the GSL, they have started pretty late this particular year. Usually, I believe at least at this time of the year, we have already finished one of the seasons. This time around, the qualifiers just took place, and I believe actually the tournament will begin very, very soon. Now, what you gotta know about the qualification matches for the GSL is that they are not broadcasted. So nobody broadcasts these. If I understand correctly, basically all of the players just go to this, like, it looks like an office building. I've seen like behind the scenes pictures. It looks like an office building, and they just get a computer and they just kind of play some matches, and then we'll see who makes it through. So a lot of these games are undiscovered. I don't think anybody has really been checking these out just yet. So I'm very excited to jump into it. I have a lot of games from some of the very best players on the planet, so I am excited to begin with this one. Mostly just because, well, this should be a very promising Terran versus Protoss. Now, in case you're a big fan of both GuMiho as well as Hero, I spoiled myself looking at the list of, like, ultimate qualifiers, so the people that I actually managed to qualify for the GSL Codes this time around, and, well, both of them were on this list. So even though this is an important match, at the time, when this particular series was played, neither of them was qualified yet. But, yeah, ultimately, they do both make it through. The qualification for the GSL is quite complex. They play a lot of best of 3s, and it's just a lot of matches in the course of just, I think, like a single day? I think it's done really rapidly. They just kind of go there, and then, yeah, you better have a good day, because otherwise, you're out of luck. But you do get multiple chances. So it's not like just a single attempt to get it done. I know that in the past, there were always, I think it was like a 2-day qualifier. I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, this time around, the GSL is also very important because the winner of the GSL, I believe at the very least, will also directly qualify for another tournament, and that is the Esports World Cup. Now, that tournament this year has, I think, a prize pool of $700,000. So it is a qualifier into what is effectively another qualifier for an even bigger tournament. Long story short, players really want to perform well, and especially if you're from Korea, you don't get that many shots. And obviously the competition is, well, it's all the South Korean pro gamers, right? They're very, very good. I thought it was kind of funny, by the way. One of the players that participated in these qualifiers is none other than SOS. SOS is a 2-time world champion of StarCraft 2, and historically, I mean, his username was always $$O$. I mean, that wasn't his actual username. That was his actual username. But anyways, people changed it out because he would only ever participate and usually win the absolute biggest tournaments in all of StarCraft 2. And now this, well, massive sequence of events gets announced. I haven't seen SOS play in about a year, but apparently he is once more back in action. And I guess he will try and once more live up to that username. I will definitely have a look at some of SOS's games as well in these qualifiers, because he is always very fun to watch if you enjoy dirty Protoss strategies. AKA everybody, right? Unless you play against them. But, yeah. He always comes up with the craziest, most creative builders out there. I don't think anybody would say that SOS has the very best, like, mechanical skill in any StarCraft match, but he is a lot of fun to watch, and it's excited to have him back once more. Now, we've had very normal build orders here from the both of them. It's going to be a Blink Stalker start into a good old Stimpack opener for Gumi. Nothing all too odd. Marine drop is coming across. This is, of course, a bit risky because Blink, while he knows that it can't be done just yet, it is going to finish within the next minute or so. You really don't want to keep this medevac out there for too long and then accidentally lose it with a couple of Blink Stalkers chasing after you. So I don't mind this. Just retreating back home with the medevac, keeping it around, not just diving too deep into the base. Certainly not a bad shot. Cyclone looking around to try and see if maybe there's like a proxy gate or anything along those lines. Not the case here. It's just a good old triple gateway start here for Hero. And it looks to me like he wants to expand behind this too. Even though he doesn't have the minerals for it just yet. And he may decide to be a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, there is no prism on this side of the map yet, so I think what you do is you plant down the third nexus and then maybe warp in some reinforcements when the prism gets in, but he is gonna try and get that high ground vision. Blink at this point is done, so indeed we do blink straight into the main base. Stimpack is being researched over here, so an important add-on gets sniped. Sure, the reactor. A little bit annoying, and this does slow down the Terran ever so slightly, but it's by no means the end of the world. Third Nexus was also delayed because he was so busy microing those stalkers on the other side of the map, so yeah, it's a small win, but by no means very significant. Robo Bay right now on the back of this. GuMiho not really doing any of that GuMiho flair that we're very used to. A lot of players like to play, you know, spicy build orders and spicy strategies until the games are very important, and we've seen this very frequently in the history of StarCraft, where players sometimes are known for their crazy build orders, and then suddenly when everything's on the line, they bring out the most stock standard StarCraft ever. Alright, 4 stalkers inside of a plane. They get a private jet. All they need to do for it is shoot at some of those SCVs. Stalkers at the front. Looks like one of them has died over there, but nothing all too bad. This is actually a lovely push, and for some reason, really GuMiho has seen the timing of the third Nexus, and he's thinking, yo, I don't care. We are sending the boys across the map, and we're turning this into a full-on base race. This is a crazy base race. He could have just sent some of those units into the main. He would have been able to push back those stalkers with ease. Instead, he decided to use the rest of his army to go across the map too. Now, Hero has seen it, so he decides to recall that prism. Very, very important for the base defense. Oh my god, he almost lost it right there to the Medevac. Or the Marines, rather, with Stimpack. Well, this third Nexus is never going to live. If GuMiho decides to target it down, it is super dead. But at this point, GuMiho needs more. He can't just settle for killing a third. He needs to kill, well, basically everything. Colossus pops at the perfect moment. And of course, this is where that prism is so incredibly handy. There's no ranged research for the Colossus yet. If you can get a second Colossus out, that would be amazing. But the problem at this point is most of those siege tanks. GuMiho dealing a ton of damage with those. The Marines and the SCVs are easy to kill with the Colossi. But how in the world is GuMiho not just going to destroy everything with siege tanks here? Especially when he's got 4 of them. Yep. He's now within range of the Nexus. A bunker is being built over here at the front as well. Dark Shrine, I mean, that is one way. It's gonna take a little while before that structure is done. Careful. The Cyclone could actually be an absolute nuisance. Okay, Cyclone does get shut down. Cyclone with the lock on there onto the prism. I mean, that would be the end. Ooh, a sentry, a little bit overly ambitious. And this attack right here from GuMiho is absolutely crazy. But it worked it worked like an absolute charm. He's remaking workers. He's just building SCVs again. Natural expansion is dead. Third Nexus is not going to be far behind. And his bunker is mostly just to contain the Protoss player and to keep this army pinned back. I mean, Hero can probably fight this army straight up. When the siege tanks are sieged up, I think GuMiho is going to be able to secure the kill on this third base. Yeah, he's not going to be able to break out of this. Dark Shrine, by the way, is ticking. So it's about, I want to say 80% of the way done, maybe a little bit more than that. He decides to now refire here with some of those units, juggling as much as he can with that one War Prism. Siege tanks over here have been tasked with killing the Nexus. Nexus does go down. And I think at this point, this is a phenomenal spot for GuMiho, who's now just rallying everything that he's got towards the other side of the map. What a crazy way to start a series. I can't believe he decided, you know what, there's 4 Stalkers in my main base with a Prism. Let's go for the all-in. That's such a crazy spot. Maybe he killed a Stalker or 2 more at the front that I did not quite catch on camera. When, you know, there was an attack going on over there at the same time. Maybe he just decided, you know what, there's not enough stuff for you. I believe I can get some value in. But GuMiho just absolutely destroyed 2 bases. Now, where's the Dark Templar? Okay. I was wondering where they went. Not all heroes wear capes. But these guys do. And this could actually create a lot of chaos, because obviously this is only 2 command centers. He has energy for 1 scan. That's not enough. Oh, scan just got used on the other side of the map. He just checked the main base. That means that there is absolutely 0 detection here for GuMiho. SCV's in a world of trouble. Missile turret does start up. Missile turret over here finishes, but that is not going to be enough. I mean, these Dark Templar, they have an insane amount of damage per second. This is now also forcing the Terran player to go into the main base. Keep in mind that Dark Templar are phenomenal offensively too, so he can use them over here if he wants to. Okay, only 1 scan. That was the only scan he's got. Dark Templar destroying... Oh my god, no way. I think you lift. You gotta get out. GuMiho, you gotta leave. Yeah. This is that one time that the fact that your Terran structures can fly is absolutely critical. That siege tank is gonna be saved. Medevac pretending to be a warp prism, and this entire game just got flipped upside down. In a base race scenario though, Terran is always at an advantage because their structures fly. So the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is to kill all of the structures, including the ones up in the air. Hero right now has lost all of his Nexi, so he's revealed, meaning that at this point GuMiho can see everything. He knows where the final structures are located. Not the units, but he knows where the final structures are located at this point in time. Dark Templar are slicing away at the units and the structures that can't fly. But I mean, I don't see how he's building a proxy missile turret. I don't see, I mean, this is not over yet. But I don't really see how Hero can recover out of this. So, orbital commands do accumulate energy while they're in the air. So he could technically just keep them up in the air for like, I don't know, a couple minutes. Get multiple scans available. He's got 2, so it should be enough. Yep, the entire Terran base is leaving. I think he's gonna send this command center to the other side of the map, isn't he? It makes sense now to mine the natural of the opponent. How in the world are those Dark Templar going to be able to shut that down? Hero decides to go for a single Archon. So we have 1 Archon and 1 Dark Templar and 2 probes. No Nexus, so no potential for income anymore for Hero. Whereas, of course, the energy for the orbital commands can also be used to land mules. So, yeah, I think you park your orbitals over here and you just continue mining. Problem here for Hero is that he does not know. For all intents and purposes, GuMiho might not have a single worker, right? Like, he sees 1 now, but he's got 2 of his own. It's very hard to actually call exactly what's going on. Dude, that proxy missile turret here is so important. So this is, of course, also a detector. Yep, he's parking 1 of the orbitals in front of it. I think that makes a lot of sense. This is still an army, though. I mean, it's 2 Archons, 2 Zealots, and a Dark Templar. Is there enough? Is there enough for Hero to break through this? Hero gets on top of the tank. Tank goes down. Viking, oh, landed, goes inside of the medevac. But you know what, Hero? Hero just shut this position down. No way. No freaking way. Oh, this game is not over yet. I think the best case scenario that Hero can hope for right now is a draw. However, GuMiho still has the potential to win. But he doesn't have the army right now. So he's splitting up the orbitals. What are we witnessing? What are we looking at right now? This is a crazy match. So, unless GuMiho is an honorable Terran, or maybe I should say stupid Terran, he should never lose this game. Like, this game is not winnable anymore for Hero. The only way in which Hero can realistically win is if somehow, some way, GuMiho lands all of his structures on the ground and then loses them. If he just hangs 1 of his buildings in the corner of the map, or he like leaves the game, that is something we've seen players do in the past. Yeah, technically, I guess it is something that Hero can win, but I mean, it shouldn't happen. It should never actually happen like that. Landed Viking, by the way, still putting in work. Oh, he gets 1 of the Zealots. That's big. That means 1 Zealot, 1 Archon, 1 Dark Templar remains. Now, the Dark Templar here has indeed killed a couple of the mining units again. GuMiho, though, did get some money from those mules. 1 of his orbital commands is right over here. GuMiho has decided that what he really wants here, I guess, is just... I don't know, what do you really want here? Maybe just go back home? The fact that he's got 1 Dark Templar is super annoying, but... as long as those orbitals aren't too close together, it's going to be very difficult for Hero to break into the main. Yeah, he's made a full wall off over here too, with the exception of, I think, 1 little slot. Just to make sure that the Protoss units can only go in single file. The problem is, right, we can look at these games and notice everything. So GuMiho can also see exactly what the opponent has because he's been revealed. Hero, however, doesn't know exactly what there is available for Gumi. He must realize at this point that he's in quite a predicament, to say the least. But it's much easier for us to look at this game and be like, well, I don't think Hero can really do much anymore, but he believes that he's got a shot, and He is allowed to play it out as long as he would like to. Ultimately, as long as there's enough energy saved for at least 1 or 2 scans, I think this is okay. Keep in mind that orbital commands can only use the scan ability when they're landed. So when they're in the air, they cannot use their energy. This one over here can. So I guess that's why the Zealot has been tasked with chasing this down. Archon is also back here. Terran structures, yeah, when they burn, they will burn out. So this is the end of this command center. It's gonna be another minute or 2, but this thing will burn down. Full wall off, by the way. Complete wall off right now for Gumi. He's making an SCV, and he's rallying it over here to the front. I think he wants to make a missile turret. I think the missile turret makes a lot of sense. Does he still have the NG bay? Yep. 1 missile turret to find them. 1 missile turret to bind them all. And yeah, this thing is dead. But he cannot break the main. This is not... I mean, no, there's no way. Archon's a very low range. There's no way. Man, what a game. What a game to start this series off. I can't believe it. Yeah, there's no way. He needs high ground vision. You can kite with an Archon, I guess. You can stutter step. SCV? Sorry, I don't know what he's asking. Oh no. I think Hero is trying to figure out whether or not there are any SCVs remaining. Yeah. So I think he's trying to figure out, yo, do you have any way to like continue mining? Because otherwise it would probably be a draw, or at the very least you could dance back and forth with the Archon a million times, wait until the energy regens. But I think upon knowing here and trusting GuMiho that he's actually mining, it is indeed the Gumi God who wins game number 1. Game number 2, we find ourselves on Amygdala. What a brilliant match. I really don't think the rest of this series is going to be able to live up to game number 1, because that was a brilliant game of StarCraft. Whew. I still can't believe. So, what triggered GuMiho to go across the map was a Warp Prism with 4 Stalkers in the main base. And he's like, well, pack it up, boys. This is something we see in about 80% of our games. Better pack it up and go across the map. Now, there was, at the same time, a fight going on at the front of the base as well. I saw the corpse of a single Stalker when I switched my camera back. There is a chance that Hero lost more than just a single Stalker, and that is what prompted GuMiho to go for that push. Ultimately, though, that was a crazy decision for Gumi. And you can kind of tell why most Terran players would shy away from it, right? Because suddenly you're in that spot, and you're like, oh my god, how do we even navigate to a victory from here? But nobody better than Gumi when it comes to playing wild and wacky games. Alright. Hero not too fond of how it went in game number 1, I'm sure. He did, by the way, ask, how many SCVs do you have? Like, he tried to figure out whether or not the opponent had any workers. He probably didn't know that the orbital command was there. Now, this is a lovely little attack too, by the way, from Hero. Yeah, okay. Getting revenge for what happened in game number 1 already. This is one of those new school build orders with the really quick sentry. Sentry has become very popular as of late for the hallucinated Phoenix build. So because of the energy recharge ability that is now on the Nexus that has replaced the shield battery overcharge, you can indeed get that sentry out really quick and still be safe against pretty much every Terran build order. Obviously, it can't use the recharge unless it's close to the Nexus, so he can't stay there forever. I mean, you don't have enough energy to constantly force field, but that was a really strong beginning here for Hero. When they first introduced that ability, by the way, the energy recharge ability, the entire StarCraft community was up in arms because most folks were convinced that it was going to be a nerf to the Protoss race. Now that the buff has been around for, you know, maybe 4 months or so, I think we can all safely say that it was indeed a very significant improvement on the shield battery overcharge at the very least. It's also just way more fun. I mean, that was always my stance right from the very start. I think anything that promotes passivity is just less interesting to me compared to something that promotes activity, but this is, or proactive play, right? Like, I think the Sentry is just so much more interesting now. You can use it as well on those High Templar builds that we've been seeing a lot more as of late. A lot of Protoss players have been following up that early game shenanigans with very fast spellcasters. It's a lot of fun to watch. Ultimately, it was a major buff. Like, if you look at the statistics for Protoss across the board, ever since the new patch, and that was, in my mind at least, the most significant change, Protoss is doing so much better now. At least at the highest level. And that's always one of those, yeah, tricky caveats to doing any changes in the game. It's much easier to press the, I'm gonna overcharge my shield battery ability, compared to the, I'm gonna overcharge this particular spellcaster and then scout out what my opponent is gonna do in a minute from now, so I can adequately prepare ability, right? Like, those two are, not quite the same when it comes to complexity. Anyways, Medevacs have been spotted. Hero does have Blink available. And this is not enough Stalkers, I don't think, but maybe he can get one. Yeah, still a really nice interception. Medevacs do arrive in the main base. We got a recall over here with some of those Stalkers that were already fighting those Medevacs. And in this game, GuMiho is not really having an easy time getting the ball rolling. This is, by the way, a triple Nexus opener here for Hero off of just 2 gateways. So in the previous game, we went for 3 gateways before he planted down the 3rd Nexus. The norm is to go for 3. Sometimes we see 4, but when Protoss players are feeling greedy, they sometimes go for only 2. So 2 gateways into a 3rd Nexus does mean that Hero has got very little unit production. Considering he's 1-0 behind in a series, it is a rather brave call. Because if GuMiho would have done a similar push to the one that he did in the previous game, we would be looking at a 2-0 win now. Instead, Hero took a chance, and he finds himself now with an entire base up on the opponent. I mean, 3rd Command Center is now done, but GuMiho is going to have... He's going to need a little bit more time here to saturate that mineral line. And this is all going really smoothly here for Hero. This feels a bit weird, though, from Hero in particular, right? Because Hero is known as a very aggressive Protoss. Yeah, okay, wow. What? What? Are you kidding me, Gumi? I mean, that game was not going well for GuMiho, don't get me wrong. But it was certainly not GG. Sometimes, I guess... I mean, he was even ahead in the supply count, right? It's just that it was like the calm before the storm, because from there, Hero was going to be able to rapidly outgrow the opponent. Assuming both players play perfectly, that game is a win for Hero 100% of the time. But I have seen a lot of Hero games over the years. And let's just say that Hero is known to make clumsy mistakes. Now again, when everything's on the line and when it's a very important match, Hero tends to play a lot cleaner. And that's what I was just going to bring up at the final section of that previous game. He was playing very passive, especially for Hero's norm. Usually Hero is a very aggressive Protoss player who tries to hit the opponent in the face constantly. This was Hero going for a double gateway, you know, triple Nexus opener. 0 aggression here other than defending. That is not quite, that's not quite the Hero style that we normally come to expect. But that was 100% an early GG from GuMiho and an unnecessary one. I hope for his sake here that he's not going to pay the price for it. Obviously, you can always leave whenever you want to, but it is considered a little bit of an early GG for certain. I would say that that was a... if I have to make a guess, probably like a 70% advantage for Hero. Maybe slightly more than that. Apparently for GuMiho, he felt like that was enough to just immediately leave, but yeah, unnecessary, to say the least. Now, lucky for us, we find ourselves on Ultra Love, and for once, the player in red spawned on the red side of the map, the player in blue spawned on the blue side of the map. Everybody rejoice. Woo! We did it. We did it. I'm so proud. It only took me about 50 games to cast before we got it right again. Or maybe I just don't point it out when, you know, it is right. Today is a special day. All right, well, let's see. That means that this series now comes down to Ultra Love. Whoever wins this qualifies for the GSL. Whoever didn't apparently took a longer route and then ultimately still qualified for the GSL, so... But at this point, when the match was being played, both of these players were really stressed. Nothing quite like a blood pressure spike. Not bad at all. All right, let's see. Low ground expo here for Gumi. Nothing all too weird. I really don't think he needed to leave that game. I'm actually a little disappointed that he decided to leave that match. Completely unnecessary. Yeah. Like, if you compare it to the way that Hero was fighting in game number 1, Hero was way further behind there for like 80% of that previous game that we looked at, like game number 1 of the series. Maybe a complete misread as well from Gumi? It could be, but I highly doubt it. Honestly, that would have been a strange misread, because it's not an uncommon situation at all. I mean, is medevac drop went awry? Sure, but that was still certainly playable. Anyway, good start right here this time around for Gumi. Gets the Adept. Widowmine was also not put on cooldown there with that hallucinated Phoenix. Although this time around, well, the Widowmine decided to move a little bit further forward. That was a fake Phoenix, of course. A real Phoenix does not die to a single Widowmine. So GuMiho doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against, but it's unlikely that the opponent opens up the way that he has so far. Hero's going to be able to kill this mine right now. GuMiho hoping that maybe he would be able to scare the opponent there, but the cooldown there is quite long. And Hero was not too worried. Once more, we're going for a double gateway third base. So this is about 4 minutes and 10 seconds on the third base timing. Super, super early. I would not be surprised if GuMiho decides to pull the boys again. Alternatively, you can try and play around this and just play macro on the back of this and maybe go for a faster third command center of his own, but this is once more a very greedy start here for Hero. It's the same beginning that he had in the first game of the series, or in the second game rather of the series. In the first game of the series, he went for 3 gateways before planting down the third. Forge. Forge and Charge already queued up here. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Robo Bay as well. Another gateway first, okay. But this is quite the greedy beginning here for Hero. Like at this point, Hero has 6 Stalkers and a Sentry versus 11 Marines and 2 Siege Tanks right now. So a different follow-up here for Gumi. He has not planted down a third command center. Instead, he seems to be really committed to playing 2 base for now. The problem is, a lot of those timing attacks from Terran, and this is why Hero decides to go for one of those very greedy third bases, a lot of timing attacks, they lean onto this upgrade. Stimpack is absolutely critical. Stimpack combat shields +1 infantry weapons, they will finish up around the same time, and they are going to be a massive power spike. Medevac gets intercepted in the middle of the map. He does lose a single unit for it, but this all takes the wind out of the sails of Gumi, and Hero gets to do whatever he likes for once more a good couple minutes. This now is putting more and more pressure onto those upgrades. He can still go for a third Nexus, but of course if he plants down the third Nexus now, he would be quite far behind. If you look at the worker count now too, GuMiho has just got enough for 2 base saturation. Hero is already, well on his way to fully saturating the third. Honestly, at this point, Hero's main focus should be stopping this attack. So Stimpack combat shields and +1, if he can stop that, take no damage in the process on his economy, the game should be in the bag. Robo Bay is nice. Not going to be able to get any value out of it. Very conservative siege up with the Observer, but he sees this army coming in. And that's the most important thing. Now he knows that, well, he can qualify for the GSL as long as he defends this attack. This is a major Terran army, though. And at this point, as far as resources go, the Terran army is about the same price as that of the Protoss. If the siege tanks get into a good spot, this is still very doable. And here we go again. We're pulling the boys a second time around. This has got real potential for Gumi. GuMiho is effectively all in once more. Charge is done. Immortal really needs to get onto the siege tanks and the Marauders if possible. Excellent beginning of the fight here, though, for GuMiho, who's now moving up towards the high ground. Immortal ends up going down. Did he just do it again? Yeah, there is a Colossus that is coming right now. He decided to go for an extra Immortal instead. This is one of those very difficult moments for Protoss. We see Protoss players get a ton of value out of these sort of attacks all the time. Oh, I think I wonder if he should have maybe committed there. Now, once more, the siege tanks are getting surrounded by those biological units. Immortal now gets working on them, though, and it's targeted down as many of those important units as it can. Siege tanks have fallen, but so has the majority of the Protoss army. GuMiho only at 31 workers, though. So if Hero can hold on with his reinforcements, that is still going to be playable. Because, of course, GuMiho lost a lot of workers with this particular attack. Colossus pops out. There's no prism. Colossus immediately gets sniped down. But it did deal a lot of damage here to the leftover bio units. A couple more Marines do show up eventually. What is this on the other side of the map? Oh, it's the probes. Hero decided to run those away from the third base. Medevacs are fully out of energy. A couple sentries get warped in. Dude, energy recharge strikes again. He's forced to now elevator a couple of those units around. Is there enough for GuMiho to actually win this? I wonder if those probes that are on the other side of the map should have been used offensively instead. Because a lot of those Marines and Marauders were like 2 or 3 hits away from them dying. Hero doesn't have a lot of minerals, so he keeps on warping in a lot of those sentries. They're 100 gas, 50 minerals. Oh my god, Gumi. This is the most GuMiho series I've seen in a while. Even though the build orders are all very normal, the fact that he follows it up in this way is so strange. But, I mean, it's working. So who's to blame? GG.